Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be the closing episode of my bikini prep series. Today I'm pretty much going to discuss my reverse diet, my next plan of action for competing, what I think I did well, and some improvements I could make going into my next competition. Stay tuned for all the details. But before I go any further, be sure to subscribe in the bottom right-hand corner if you want to stay up to date on all my training, nutrition tips, and living that overall healthy lifestyle. And first, let's do a quick recap of competition. So last week I competed in my very first OCB Bikini Physique competition. I placed third in my novice class and fourth in my open class. So therefore I did pretty good. I was hoping for top 3 in both categories and I achieved one of those goals, but I finally got some feedback from the judges on what direction I need to go next. Now, the experience as a whole with the OCB for the first time was incredible. The competitors were extremely welcoming. I loved my hair and makeup artist. I loved all the teams there. Everyone was supporting each other backstage. I gave my bands to some girl gave me some dumbbells. We were backstage chit-chatting, having a good time, helping each other out, and that is what competition should be. It shouldn't be competitors isolating themselves backstage, giving each other dirty looks, hoping the other one fails. No, it's supporting one another because we all worked our butts off to get to this point, and therefore we should be kind of celebrating together. That's just my opinion. I thought the show was run extremely smoothly. It was literally on time to a T. I've never experienced a competition that has run like on time, if not ahead of schedule before. So that was absolutely amazing. I will say bikini was last and we were the biggest division. I think there were 32 women in our category as a whole. So unfortunately it took a long time to get on stage, or at least it felt like a long time, but honestly we were right on the time spot that we were supposed to be. I know I already shared this, but after show, I had a nice fat juicy burger and some wings. I've definitely been living it up a little bit, especially with Thanksgiving being right after my show, but I'm still tracking, and that's what I'm gonna get into about my reverse diet. So first, let's talk a little bit about the feedback from the judges. So my personal opinion, looking at my physique and the girls that were in the top above me on stage, all had a bit more muscle mass than I did. Like, I definitely had that level of leanness that I've never brought into a stage before, but I did not have that muscularity. And I literally got feedback from the judges within 2 days. They were amazing, super quick, super specific. They highly recommended that I don't compete again until probably 2025 because I need to be putting on some muscle mass. Now, I come from a smaller background. I feel like a lot of people who compete have 2 different paths of getting there. Either it's a weight loss journey and then you kind of fall in love with fitness, so you decide to compete, or you might have a disordered eating background, which is kind of where I came from, and you've just fallen in love with putting on muscle and putting on size. Now, that being my background, it definitely takes me a lot longer to put size on, and definitely just gaining weight takes a bigger toll on like how I feel and how I sometimes perceive myself, and just in general, it's difficult for me. Like, my highest weight in a bulk is about 129, 130 pounds, and that is me eating like every hour of every day, being completely stuffed, and if I fall off like 1 or 2 days, my weight drops right back down. So that is kind of what I figured it would be. I definitely have a hard time building, and my last building phase was in my last year of graduate school, doing clinicals, studying for the RD exam, like working full time, running my business. So there were definitely plenty of days that my calories were lower than they should have been, and I maybe not have been giving my all in my workouts. So I did build some size. I'll show some pictures from my last show, which I was 113 pounds on stage day, to this show, which I was 104 pounds on stage day. I don't have my stage photos yet, but I will share them with you guys once I do. That being said, unfortunately, I will not be competing for the 2024 season. And this is like bittersweet. Like, anyone who competes knows that the post-competition blues are a real thing. Like, the thought that your next competition is over a year away is very, I don't want to say depressing, but depressing. Like, I get sad about it. I love being on stage. I love the weekend of competing. But had I won, I don't feel like I'd be bringing my best physique to a pro level stage, and therefore doing this bulk is going to get me ready to not win an amateur level show, but actually be competitive at the pro level, which is really what it is in the long run, what I want to achieve. I think a lot of people compete because they think it's like, this is the next phase of my fitness journey. And I think that's fine. That's a great way to get started. I've been doing this for 5 years. This is not some phase. This is like my heart and soul goes into competing. And therefore, if I want to be competitive, I need to be putting on some size. So I wasn't given any direction specifically on like shoulders, glutes, quads, just as a whole. The reason I placed where I placed was because of the lack of muscularity I had compared to other competitors. So I need to put on some size. How am I going to do that? What I'm going to do first is get to a metabolically healthy place, a hormonally healthy place, because that is not currently where I'm at. So right after stage, I bumped my calories up like 1850. Honestly, I've been averaging more like 1950, I would say. And then Thanksgiving, I obviously just didn't track. And I did gain a weight, like that's totally normal. It's totally expected. 104 pounds on stage day is with sodium manipulation, water manipulation, carb manipulation. Like that is my low. Like that's crazy low. And just to give some perspective, I'm about 5'3", so 104 pounds on stage. There were a couple women who said they were about the same weight as me, but their muscularity was like top tier, a little bit more advanced than mine, which I totally understand. And that's where I'm trying to be. Therefore, I bumped my calories up right away. I have been feeling amazing. Typically when I come out of a show, I will share, I do get the urges for like binge behavior. I had none of that at all. And I don't have an explanation. I am not an eating disorder specialist. I had not sought any counseling for my personal past behaviors. A lot of it's just been internal work, listening to my cues, knowing my triggers, and just being very in tune with myself. That being said, I didn't do any crazy binging after show. I actually haven't even drank after my show, but I do plan on this week because I have a nice weekend trip planned with my boyfriend to New York City, and we're going to be doing all the Christmas things. It may be going out to a few bars. We'll see. So that being said, again, 1850, 1950, very flexible with my diet. I do still not have a period. So that is how I know while I'm feeling better, mood's better, I'm not irritable, my sleep is phenomenal, I am still hormonally not super healthy. So I need to keep these calories up and drop my energy expenditure, which I'm about to talk about. So being about a week and a half out from show, I've actually already bumped up my calories even more, closer to 1950, 2000. I was at 110 grams of protein, about 210 grams of carbs, and 60 grams of fat. I am now just bumping up my carbs to about 260 grams. So really, really up there. Since show, I've also decreased my step count. I would say about 8,000 steps per day. I want to be at 10. That is my goal during the Christmas, December season, because it is just a time where people are less active. Today I'm at 5,000. I'm doing a little bit better now that things are starting to get normal and the holiday is over. I am not doing any scheduled cardio after my lifting. Some girls like to do that so they minimize the weight gain, which I'm going to talk about how much I've gained so far, but stay tuned. I am running though. So I did do a race 4 days after my show. 10 out of 10 don't recommend. It is a race I was already signed up for ahead of time. So it was about a 10K. I think it's a little under 6 miles, but about a 10K, and I ran it. And I'm not a runner, but I did phenomenal. I'll take that all day long. I also have a 5K this upcoming weekend. Again, just happened to fall around the time of my show. I didn't intend to do this, so I am running more, just about twice a week, anywhere from 3 to 5 miles, just out of fun enjoyment. It's not because I want to lose weight or keep my leanness going into the holiday season. Personally, I miss my booty and I want to be putting on some size. I have dropped down my lifting sessions. So that is a big thing that's going to be a change for me going into a build. I always drop down to about 4 days of lifting, and this is totally normal for me. I have 2 full leg days with glute, quads, honestly overall, I'll say glutes and quads are my main focus, but definitely some hamstrings for sure. And then I have an upper body day that's pretty much just shoulders, and then I have a back, shoulder, and leg day. So 1 total body day, because these are the areas I need to build as a bikini physique competitor: my delts, my glutes, my quads, and my hamstrings. So those will be my primary focus when I go into my lifting sessions. My sessions are very slow. There's not a lot of supersets, a lot of time under tension, and focusing on 0 reps in reserve. So pretty much pushing to bumping up my calories, reducing my step count, reducing my cardio, and reducing my lifting. Yeah, I think I said everything. I have included my supplements back in. So I'm back to taking creatine every single day. And then I have been dabbling a little bit with my BCAAs. I haven't taken any pre-workout just because I haven't really needed it, but I have the rest of my BCAAs. I'm just going to use them now after my lifts, but super focused on nutrition around my workouts to just optimize recovery. Typically, a reverse dieting phase goes for like 6 to 8 weeks, and you want to be increasing, it depends on the person. Myself will probably be about 100 calories every week until I get to about my maintenance calories, which is usually around 2,500. But I also am not trying to put on tons of body fat right away either. So my weight, I am up to about 112. I was 114 this morning, but I definitely overdid it a little bit last night. Not gonna lie. So I think that could be kind of where I'm teetering. I'm between like 111, 114. I always expect an initial weight gain of anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds after show. Again, remember we did the water, sodium, carbs. My carbs went from like 70 carbs a day to 260 carbs a day. So it's gonna make a huge difference. But I will say I'm recovering better, my sleep is better, my GI is back to normal. I don't have to take any supplements to like help me go to the bathroom. Everything is going like exactly how I planned. My biggest takeaways from this prep were prioritizing my mental health. I feel like that did wonders for me going into stage. I know in my stage day or show day video, I talked a lot about how like zen I was feeling, like very calm, not overthinking it. Like once I see the competitors, I kind of can tell who's gonna do well. Like, I mean, look at their physiques, it's black and white. Like it's not like they're gonna flex differently on stage. I can see who is really bringing a top tier physique right when I'm looking at them. So I can't really focus on other people. I just focused on myself. I didn't have any like binge behaviors or binge cravings like I have in the past. I'm coming out of this super level-headed, no fear of gaining weight, full intentions of gaining weight in a slow, controlled manner. I think the biggest thing I'm bummed about is I have to wait so long to compete, but as a natural athlete, I always recommend about a year of building and 6 months of cutting because I'm not using any substances to aid my process. So therefore, it's a slow process. And because I'm not a super beginner, I'm not going to gain a lot as quick as someone who's got those newbie gains, but they could probably be putting on like a pound a month of muscle. So that makes a big difference. Now, I consider myself an intermediate lifter, so I wouldn't say I'm a beginner, but I'm definitely not advanced. I have a lot of room for improvement. Therefore, I can put on about a half a pound of muscle a month on a very good month, making sure I'm ticking all my boxes, my sleep, my nutrition, my protein, my lifts are going really good. So at the most in this year, I will put on 6 pounds of muscle. Now, that does not mean 6 pounds cumulatively because obviously with muscle comes fat, and that is totally normal and totally expected. But we can minimize the amount of fat that we're putting on because there is no evidence that supports if you put on 40 pounds of fat that you're going to gain more muscle than putting on 10 pounds of fat. So I really do try to minimize the weight gain. I do expect my weight to jump up to that 120 still within the next few weeks as my body's starting to adapt and regulate back to that normalcy with the higher calories. But we will see. I'm still trying to like mitigate it over slower duration. So I am putting on some muscle, but I need my body to be hormonally and metabolically healthy before I'm going to be putting on a lot of size. I would say my goal for my build is 135 to 140 with the intention of stepping on stage at about 110 the next time I compete because that would be a total of 6 pounds of muscle. But we will see. I can't really predict that and I don't know what's going to go on. I have a lot going on in 2024. I know it's crazy to already think about. So we'll see how well I can stick to my plan. I definitely plan on building some size though. Hopefully it will be that 6 pounds of muscle, but again, we will see. Something I wish I could change about this prep isn't the prep. Like I actually did everything I was supposed to do. Usually I do have something in my prep I wanted to change. I wouldn't change anything in my prep. And I'm going to show quickly you guys like my progression over the past years. Like I said, this is like my 5th competition. So from this being my beginning to this being my end, like I am beyond proud of where I have come from and how much I've progressed. But this is only the beginning because I need to be putting on more size if I want to take my physique to that next level. Now, the thing I would change is my build. I would focus way more on actually consistently hitting calories. I would focus way more on not missing meals, focus way more on pushing myself to failure in my lifts, going that extra mile, going that extra rep in between, and then also just including more activity other than just like lifting in my building season. I didn't really take advantage. I just kind of started running. So that's something I'm going to be focusing on. I also want to be taking more yoga classes, focus a little bit more on my flexibility. I want to focus more on my shoulder. So I have that scapular winging on my right side. I really want to focus on that. Any imbalances I have, I do have one leg that's bigger than the other. These are all things I'm going to be focusing on for the next year. And again, it seems like so far away, but when you're in it for the long run, a year goes by like that. And the last thing you want to do is get on stage being like, I should have gained 5 more pounds in my bulk because now I'm the smallest person on the stage. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. And if you've watched all of these series, like, thank you. I'm excited to share a lot more about my reverse diet. I'm going to share more about just living a general healthy lifestyle. Things have been more extreme in my previous videos because I was competing, but I live a healthy lifestyle in and out of a prep. So I'm going to share a lot of more of like my general health tips for you guys. I'm going to be sharing supplements I use. I'm going to be sharing products I recommend. So stay tuned next week for a video on my favorite holiday products that are a little bit lower calorie, but they still hit that Christmas sweet spot. Thanks again for watching and be sure to subscribe.